Good morning, everyone. My name is Patrick Kimwaki. I'm a senior sales consultant for Oracle's Construction and Engineering Global Business Unit. Today, we are talking about digital disruption. We are talking about how technology has been used in the construction industry to help manage our projects better. And so today I'm going to talk to you about Oracle's Aconex, how we help break down silos of collaboration, how we help you to have a common data environment so that you can collaborate easier with your teams. So we will be talking about model coordination, document and contractual collaboration within the platform so that you have a single secure platform where you can do all your collaboration from a single platform. So we'll start with the presentation. This is the topic for today. We'll have a short agenda. So this is the agenda that we are going to go through. We'll look at the typical project challenges, and then we are going to look at how we enable model coordination in Aconex, and then we'll give you a product overview and a demo of the solution. So I've taken a few photos of the various projects that have been completed by various countries across our continent. These are very beautiful buildings and they've been built in different places of the continent. So the one thing that is very clear is that buildings are getting smarter. You know, these buildings are complex. If you look at some of the designs we see on the screen, they are becoming more complex. There are more systems involved. They are more integrated with each other. They are more people driven. People want smarter buildings. There's more monitoring. You know, after construction, there's a lot of monitoring that is, that takes place. And also there's more information that is generated out of these buildings. So that means a lot of design work, a lot of collaboration is done to ensure that such a building is completed successfully and on time. But what we often see in the industry is that most of the participants use at least two systems. One is the communication platform, let's say email, to send notices across. And then they also use another system for keeping the documents, let's say something like a SharePoint or Google Drive or Dropbox. So what happens is, because there are so many participants working to deliver on a project, you end up having a big mess because everyone is duplicating information onto their system. It's difficult to keep track of which is the latest document. And so you end up having this kind of mess where you cannot find the most up-to-date document. It's difficult to report. The reports that you deliver to monuments are either late or inaccurate. Retrieving a document that was approved is very difficult, especially when you look at the number of documents that is required to deliver such a project. The use of multiple contractual correspondence systems also creates a risk of errors and rework. And of course, when we have an issue, the issue resolution is also spread across multiple systems, and that negatively impacts cost and administration. And of course, when we deliver the project, it becomes very, very difficult to retrieve the as-built documentation. And this is the information that we require for the operations team to use or to utilize or operate the building effectively. Now, in terms of the data volume that we see in our platform, for the kind of projects we've just looked at, the very beautiful buildings we've seen across Africa, we are looking at 49,000 documents, and these are the documents that are shared across the various organizations. And then if you look at the pieces of correspondences, we are looking at 122,000. These are, they could be RFIs, any type of formal correspondence, any type of change request. And these are shared across 24 organizations. So you need a very good system that will be able to help you manage this piece of this kind of volume that we see on the screen right now. And then as we talk about digital disruption, we also need to look at how the space has moved in terms of model coordination. So in the model coordination space, we see many applications are used to manage the many BIM processes. And there are three types of tools that we see. One is the design authoring. This is where you find the model is created. The model is captured for the first time, data is added into it. And then you also have another type of system, which is called a validation tool, so that it's used to check the quality of the models, especially when you validate them, federate them together. So these are the clash detection tools, and you can see some of these are the commonly used, the commonly known names like Solibri, Navisworks. And then the last tool is the coordination, the design coordination tools. So these would be things like Beam Autodesk 360, and these are used to make sure that whatever issues have been raised, for instance, in the clash detection, they are sent back to the design authoring tool for resolution. But what we still see is that there's no process integration between these three tools. You end up having still silos. People still end up sending email spreadsheets saying how many issues do we have last week and how many do we have today, how many are open. So it still becomes an issue in terms of managing the process efficiently. And what I'm going to show you today is how we can manage this process in Aconex. So what you want to be able to do is you want to be able to combine the rest of the project team with the design team. So the rest of the project team would be working in tools that are not specialist, but you find that the specialist design team would be using tools like Revit or Navisworks, but they need to communicate, they need to collaborate with the rest of the project team. So what you need is one single platform where both the design team and the rest of the project team can work together to complete a project. So you want to be able to attach, for instance, an RFI to a 3D model. You want to be able to do that because both teams will require this information. And once you have that, you will then be able to report on your design issues very easily. So in this case, you can see clearly that we've got 7 open issues. We've got 2 that are already solved. And then we can see there is 1 issue that is overdue, because you'll have your communication platform, your collaboration platform is central, and all the organizations are coming together to deliver this project. So we do this by enabling or utilizing an open BIM standard. So what you see now is, for instance, an architect working in Navisworks, or a BIM manager working in Navisworks, looking at the clashes. They are working in Navisworks. They've got a plugin to Aconex, and they're able to run their clash detections and then raise those issues into Aconex for coordination and assignment. So you can see there are a couple of new issues that have been identified. And then the next step would then be to raise these issues and share them across into Aconex. And then when those issues have been shared in Aconex, they will be assigned to the various teams. And then once that is assigned, let's say that has already been assigned to an architect who needs to move a couple of pieces, a couple of equipment within the model. Once that is done, he will do this into his Revit platform. He will manage the model. And then when the issue is fixed, he will update the issue, complete the issue, and maybe create a new version of the model and share it across Aconex as the CDE. So with these plugins, the teams, the specialist teams, will be able to continue working in their specialist tools, but everyone else outside of the specialist team will have access to the model. They'll see what the issues have been raised look like, how the model looks like, and this helps collaborating the project to completion. So I'm going to do a basic introduction to Aconex, how it's designed to work, and then we'll go into the demo. So Aconex is designed to be an organizational-based system. So what you see here are the various organizations that are in this project, that are required in this project, and they will help deliver this project. We know that will be, people like architects, the client will be there who owns the building, the project management firm, the contractor, the subcontractor, and the consultants. So let's take an issue of how do we manage documents. So one of the unique systems we have on Aconex is that each of the organizations that you see here will have its own private workspace. And then inside of the private workspace, you'll have a bucket of three buckets of information that are used to store your information. So you've got your inbox, and stores your incoming correspondences. They could be RFIs, they could be change requests. And then your sendbox is used to manage anything that goes out of the organization. It could be a site instruction, meeting notes, and other pieces of correspondence. And then the document register is used to store all the various pieces of documents that are required in a project, including your models, your sizing specifications. So in this case, let's assume the architect was working on his preferred tool. He will then upload this document onto Aconex. And once that document is uploaded onto Aconex, he will share these documents through the platform to the required parties. So in this case, he wants to inform the contractor that the documents are ready for construction. And so he sends him a transmitter with the documents attached, and that piece of correspondence is also copied to the client. So the contractor will look at this information, he's happy, and then he will start distributing this information to the various subcontractors who are required or who are part of the project to deliver. So in this case, the subcontractor, let's say he shares this with the mechanical or MEP subcontractor. The MEP subcontractor will also receive an incoming transmitter, and then the document will be automatically stored into his document register. So with such a system, you don't have to download documents before you upload them into your document register. So using a single platform, you're able to handle both the correspondence and the actual documents using a single platform. We know changes will come. Changes come from all sources. They could be the requirements have changed, the client has changed their mind, or the design has changed due to external factors. And so in this case, when the change has come in, the architect will go back to his tool, make changes, update the drawings, update the model. And then once he updates Aconex with a new document, the system knows that you have already shared this document with other parties, and the system prompts or notifies the architect that, hey, you can actually auto-update your previously sent transmitter so that the participants can have the most up-to-date documents. So in this case, by a click of a button, the client and the contractor will get the new updated documents, which is version B. So what you see now is that all these parties have got version B, and the subcontractor still has version A. We call this neutrality because what that means is the subcontractor was not in the original communication between the architect and the contractor, and so he has no knowledge of the new updated document. So we call this neutrality because this helps companies to know, or organizations to know, that the information they have is secure. There's no one who will come and override the security settings to see what is you're not required to see. And so in this case, the subcontractor still has version A until that information is shared across by the contractor. And so again, the system will prompt the contractor and tell him, look, your new version has arrived, but the subcontractor is still using version A. You could auto-update the subcontractor so that he works on the most up-to-date documents. So by a click of a button, you're able to auto-update the subcontractor. And this solves a lot of challenges because now everyone is working on the most up-to-date document. You've got full audit trail, you've got version control, you can go back to the previous documents. And also, we don't have a limit on the file sizes. You can send us a 2 gig file, a 5 gig file, it doesn't matter. And that document will be automatically stored into the document register. Now, I'm going to show you the platform. So I'm logged in as Mr. Patrick O'Leary from Majestic Builders. Like we said, Aconex is organizational based. I've got a couple of projects that I've got access to. I can move around them. And also the project, the information that you see is project specific. So this information is only relates to the Sky Demo project. Like we said, we've got three main buckets of information. We've got the document register, we've got the inbox and sendbox. These are the main attributes, or the way the Aconex platform is designed. And we look at the document register first before we proceed to the other functionality. So here, I've got 713 documents. But we know that in a live construction project, we are looking at about 50,000 pieces of documents. So you want to be able to have a system that quickly finds information for you, gets the information in the required way, and also it's easy and fast to use. So we don't have a folder structure. We use a metadata structure, as you can see. And this makes it very quick to search for information. For instance, if I wanted to look at the architectural documents, I'll use the architectural tag, and then the system brings down or narrows down these documents from 700 to 200 documents very quickly. I could also filter this by the type of drawing. So for instance, the type of drawing is a drawing. And then it filters down even further. Now I've got 130 documents that I'm working on. I could also filter this by the type or the status of the document. Is it approved? Is it subject to comments? And the system gets this information from the system. I could also say, I only want to look at PDF files. I know most of the documents we see in construction have been converted to PDF. I only want to look at PDF. And also, I could filter this and say, I only want to look at reception related documents. And so the system now delivers a single document from 700 documents. This is like a needle that is lost in a haystack, and then you've got an electronic magnet where you're just pulling information very quickly and very efficiently. So this document shows you that it's a version 7. We can see the revision date. It's about 6 years old now. And what you see here now is the metadata that you can that is attached to this document. We can see the various versions that existed, as you can see here. And more importantly, we've got what we call a no delete framework. So this document will be there until the end of the project. It can never be deleted. And it helps in terms of keeping a proper audit trail. We know what changed from version 5 to 4, and you're able to keep track of your document movement. So this is how we handle document. You know, how we handle version control. But again, the question that arises is, how then do you handle transmission of this document? So we can transmit the document by use of a transmitter. So in this case, let's create a transmitter. I'm going to send this to my mechanical consultant. His name is Ahmed Jaffa. So the system brings that his contacts up, and then I'm going to be asked to provide why am I sending this, and this is completely configurable. So this is going to be issued for construction. Does he need to respond? Not necessarily. And in this case, we are going to say MEP drawings for construction. And then I can even add more documents. So we don't have a limit on size. So I could add even a couple of more documents. And then I send it off. So what you see now here is a proper record of this transmitter. So you can see this is a transmitter. We can see it was sent from myself, Mr. Patrick O'Leary from Majestic Builders. and it was sent to Mr. Ahmed Jaffa from Enzi's construction, when it was sent, and the reason for sending. And more importantly, these drawings here, these documents, have now been sent. They are part of the transmitter. And Mr. Ahmed Jaffa does not need to go and download them and then upload them into his document register. That is done automatically by the system, and then he'll have complete access to this piece of, to this documentation here. So let's now look at the mail component in more detail. So again, like we said, we have the inbox, which stores all the incoming pieces of correspondence. And again, this is organizational based data. So if you have a senior project manager who resigned, but he had received mail within the platform, then you will still be able to access that information. And that's why you see I've got access to mail that was sent to people like Tim Young, who is my colleague, and it helps even with internal collaboration. You don't have to phone people to ask them, where's this piece of correspondence? You just come into the system, you'll be able to find the inbox for your organization and look at what transmitters has come in, what kind of RFIs have come in, and you're able to take action from there. So you've got the various types of incoming mail. So you can look at requests for information, for instance. You can search against that. You can search against other pieces of correspondence. Let's say it's a contractor's or consultant's advice notice. You can filter by status. Let's say you want to look at the closed ones out, all the items we've closed out. And also you could also filter these similarly by using tags. Now I've got 2 pieces of correspondence, again, from about 1,000 pieces. Very quickly, you're able to filter this down. You can look at what has happened with this piece of correspondence. How did we move, for instance, from an RFI? So we see the original piece of correspondence was sent 6 years ago, okay, in 2014. We can see what the question was. It was an RFI. It was sent from Excite, an organization named Excite. It was sent to Mr. Peter Go. We can see that it was a question about evacuation of electrical work. What are we supposed to do? And you can see the response that went with that. All the responses that have been captured on the system, you cannot delete this. It's a permanent record, and you've got the audit trail. You're able to see what did we actually agree on, all the way until the mail was closed out. As you can see here, it was closed out, and the instruction was that all the builders will now require fiber cable install. So this is how you move from an RFI, the original RFI, to a site instruction. Very, very quickly, you're able to inform or support a decision that was made, and see how we arrived at a decision. So that's how you handle incoming mail. The sent box also has all the outgoing mail for your organization. Again, if someone is on leave, let's say your senior project manager is on leave and the junior project manager is taking over his work, all he will need to do is go into the send box and see what has actually left our organization. Again, you can search here by RFI, for instance. You can search for all the outstanding and overdue items, because you want to chase your subbies, you want to chase your suppliers who have not responded to you, for instance. So here we see a couple of RFIs that are outstanding, and this means that your work has stopped because you're waiting for these people to get back to you. So you're able to follow up, you're able to see what do we need to do, what would we need to call, and find out how do we resolve this delay. So that's how we handle mail and documents. And then we are now going to look at models. So models in our world, we can store IFC models into a document register. Like I said, we don't have a limit on file sizes, file types. You can store any document, but for the purposes of model discussion, we we have a viewer for IFC. So what you see here is an IFC model. I can open this directly from the tool. And when you consider that the opening of viewers is mainly restricted to the design team, the architects, the consultants, when you consider that now you can actually open this from Aconex, then that increases your collaboration, increases your ability to see what is being built. You can federate this model so that you have a unified view. So for instance, I've got the architectural model. I can open the structural, I can open the mechanical, and the building, the federated model is now well shown. I can move, I can navigate through the model. I can look at the various floors. I can move it around. And I can have a look at what is going on. For instance, now here, I'm not a design specialist myself, but I can see there's an issue here in terms of why do we have two doors that are in in the same wall. We can see here this is a wall. The system tells me that this is a wall here. It's a generic wall. But I'm keen to know, why do we have the door allowance is different for both. It could be for maintenance, but I want to know why that is the case. In this case, all I would do here is just measure. I will just come here and measure the allowance given here by the consultants, and then raise an issue. So I'll come here and measure. For instance, I can measure there. This is 915 millimeters. And then I can come and measure this one here as well. So I've got two doors here. One is 915 millimeters and the other one is 1.5 meters. I want to raise this with the design team and find out what was the decision. Why did we want to do this? And all I'll need to come do is raise an issue here. I don't know whether it's an error yet. I'm just going to say this is a warning. Please confirm this is not an error. And then you raise an issue. So you've just added an issue. You're not part of the design team, but because you're part of the project team, you've brought the model and the rest of the project team into a single platform. Then you have the benefit of collaboration, the benefit of looking at things and identifying errors before they become errors. So in this case, I can come here and look at the issues that have been raised for the entire project. I can see the issue that I've just raised. And then what will happen now is the BIM manager will come and look at this during the weekly meetings or bi-weekly meetings. They'll come and say, this might actually be an issue. I'm going to sign this to my MEP. He needs to go and look at why did we have different, why do we have different door sizes? You can set a priority, and then you can also set a due date, and then you assign it. So what you've done is you've identified an issue, you've raised it, you've assigned it to the appropriate organization, and you can see now The system keeps a track record of what has happened to this issue. It tells you, for instance, there are 3 related items. These are the models that are related to this issue. And then it tells you that this issue was created in Aconex. This is important because you want to be able to track where the issues are coming from. So we've created an issue in Aconex. The other ability that we've got, like I said, from using the various plugins we've got, we can also raise issues in other tools. For instance, here, there's an issue. This was a clash, and it was actually raised in Navisworks. As you can see here, the issue has now been assigned, and it's being worked on. And we have other various issues that have been closed. For instance, this one is closed, and this one had been raised in Navisworks as well. So for the tools that we don't have a direct plugin, we have the ability to import BCF files as issues. So you'd come here and import the issue. You do your clash detection in the tool that you are using. And once you get the file, you export them into BCF, and then you'll be able to come and import them here directly into the tool. So then you'll then be able to have a proper dashboard which tells you how many issues do we have open? How many have you solved? What type of issues do we have? What is the priority? And then the various organizations that are involved with these issues. So you're able to report this. You're able to report very quickly, how your design, for instance, in the design phase, how is my design work progressing? How well is it going? So you'll be able to report on that. You could also create issue set, and these are important when you want to say manage all the issues on level 1. How many do we have in level 1? How many do we have in level 2 of the building, and so forth into level 3? So that's how you manage issues. But more importantly, you are able to interrelate these issues with other components in the system. So for instance, the issue we've just raised here, we've just raised an issue that there might be an issue with the door opening. You could come here and raise a mail to tell your cost manager, hey, I think this was an oversight. This is a design issue, and we are more likely to make a change to accommodate this, the design error. So you could come here, raise an RFI, raise another different type of mail. So for instance here, assuming this is a contractor's advice, that you're more likely to change this, I would then send this to my cost manager. So Joe Costa is my cost manager. And then I will say incorrect door sizing. And then you send it. So you've got now, you've got your model, you've raised an issue, and now you've also now raised a mail to support this issue. You're supporting this issue from an identification point of view. You want this issue to be flagged. It might have a cost implication. And when you send this issue, it goes with the issue itself. So this is a hyperlink to where the issue is identified. You can view it in a design model as well, more 3D model. But more importantly, you can raise this the cost that might be related to this issue. So for instance, here I can come here and add a change event. So I'm going to raise a change event for my cost manager to know that this might hit our cost sheet very soon. And then you describe it here and say, So you're just explaining why this might be the case. Then you'll come here and choose the contract. As a project manager, I would know that design and engineering is the contract that we need to look at. We need to attach this change event to. And then this is the item that we want to, this is the item that has been identified. You are attaching this to your control account and your account as well here. So this is we think a lot of it will be subcontractor labor. The cost estimate, I think it's going to be 5,000. Let's assume it's $5,000. We don't expect a budget change because we expect to cater this in the contingency. We usually have a contingency for design errors, and then you raise that change event. So we've moved from the model coordination, we've identified an issue, we've written a mail to our cost manager, and now we've now raised a change event so that the cost manager is now aware. He can start planning for this so that he's fully prepared to handle this change. So I'm going to log in now as Joe Costa, the cost manager. As you can see, he's logged in. And when we go to the cost management system, so it's an integrated module within the platform. And I go to change events. Let's say it's a Monday morning. I've arrived at work and I want to look at the various change events that have been identified from the field. I'll see there's a new change event here. The door sizing is the one we are looking at. I can view the piece of correspondence directly within the tool. I can see who sent it. My project manager sent it. And these have different widths. I can see the issue. I can open the issue from here. I can look and see, okay, this is definitely going to have an impact on our contingency. Let's, for the sake of this demonstration, we say we are going to have to transfer some money from our contingency. I'll come and move this from contingency. I see we have some money in contingency, and I'm going to say it's going to cost 5,000. This is required to manage the door sizing issue identified. And then when I'm happy with the changes, then I can approve this change event and say this has been approved. And now when I go to my cost worksheet and search for the contingency item, we can see now that a new approved transfer has been effected. So the system takes you right from the field, identifying the issue, raising an issue on the model, coming all the way into the cost management system, and then effecting a change on the budget, on the contingency item itself. So the original budget we can see, and now we can see we've already consumed 5,000 to cater for those changes that we've just identified. We could also report on this very easily on the system. I could come here and run a report and say, what are the change items that we've seen? And so the system gives you a very good view of the change event we've just identified. So the 5,000, the $5,000 amount for the incorrect door sizing has now been identified. So you can now report all the way from identifying the issue, raising the issue on the model coordination platform, and then all the way into the cost management system. The last piece that I want to show you today is how we manage the operations and maintenance manual. Remember, once we are done with delivering the building, we need to deliver the as-built documentation. so that you can hand over these documents to operations. So this is the building. Let's assume this is the building I was just delivering. We've got the building, classified according to the various levels. We've got level 10, for instance. I'm interested in level 10. I've got the various disciplines, say electrical, mechanical, and in this case, I'm interested in electrical. So the system gives you the layout. I can zoom in further into this. I'm interested in this DB board. I can see the photo of this DB board just to avoid any doubt of what I'm working with. So as you can see, that's the DB board. I can go back and look at the manual, which is very important. That tells me how should we maintain this building. And this is very important when you consider that the project teams that deliver the buildings are mainly not the ones who will also do the maintenance. So it tells you how are we going to do this, what is the recommended torque settings, and all the manuals that are required to maintain this building. And of course, how was this installed? Did we do all the, did we get the certification right? Did we get everything what are the test results? So that you know that the piece of equipment you're working on was correctly installed and the commissioning was also done properly. So that in a nutshell is what I had prepared for you. My goal today was to show you that with Aconex, you can actually have a single platform where you have a single platform that allows you to break down the silos and increases your project success. You want to be able to have accurate and up-to-date reports to management. You will be able to solve your document retrieval today because the system allows you to fetch the documents very quickly. You have a single platform where all your correspondence is being carried out. We've also talked about issue resolution, how easy that is within the platform. We've got an OpenC platform where we've got plugins from Revit. We've got a plugin to Solibri. We've got a plugin to Avisworks. And then through that, you're able to work together as a team, the specialist design team together with the rest of the design team. And lastly, we talked about the as-built documentation and how you can easily retrieve that. So I hope you found the presentation insightful, and we'll be willing to look at, we'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have to enable your project. Thank you very much.